Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Michael's Corner. Um, this afternoon, I am interviewing one of the one of the greatest wrestlers, I think, in the Midwest right now. He goes by the name of Chris Steele. So, before I bring him on, Um, don't forget to follow me on social media. Facebook will be Michael's Corner. Twitter will be at Michael Pam. And YouTube will be Michael's Wrestling Channel. So, you can follow me on social media on those platforms and whatnot. So, Chris Steele, um, I saw him wrestle back in 2018 or 19. One of the best wrestlers out there. Um, good, good person. He's a very good person. I can't wait until I bring him on. So I, you guys, I cannot wait until I bring him on. I want to see what he's been up to since our last interview that we did, and we'll go from there. So, without further ado, let me see if I can get him onto my live stream.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Sorry I was a little bit late. I was getting everything set up
Yeah,
for this interview, you
not a
know.
problem.
Yeah, I had to make sure the lighting is good and my room is good and whatnot. So I did a great job doing that. So I was telling I was just got done telling people you're one of the greatest wrestlers in the Midwest in Wisconsin right now, and you know.
Appreciate that.
hmm and I was telling people about the last interview that we did. Remember that?
Yeah, that was what was that about 5 years ago now?
Holy shit. Yeah, that was 5 years
It
ago.
was, yeah.
So it was definitely time to catch up. So, what have you been up to since our last interview?
Well, a lot has happened since the last time you and me have talked. We had a pandemic that we went through. But I've been now with RCCW down in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I've been with them basically most of the time since. As far as what I've been doing, though, I was the City of La Crosse Championship, which I then turned into the City of Winona Championship because it just made sense since I'm from Winona.
Yeah.
And I fired my manager, Jay Edwards. So if anybody remembers Justin or Jay Edwards, however you know him by, he was with me for a couple of years, and then I just fired him back in April. Hit him with the chair. He kept kind of getting in my way, let's just say that. Every time I was about to get the win, he either want me to use something to cheat to get the win when I was just about to get it, which was a distraction, or he would accidentally get in the way, and then I would still lose. But since then, I've had a pretty good run after we fired Jay, me and my team. I've had a couple good wins. You probably saw the one match just back in October against Coda Jacobs at the Slamathon over in Galesville. That was where Ric Flair was there, if anybody was there. Obviously, it was a packed house, very fun atmosphere, but Coda got me with a low blow. Ref didn't see it, but I'm going to keep my eye on that guy for sure.
Yeah.
Prior to though, prior to that, we had the pandemic, which made things a little hard to have shows, but we still had some shows. There was just certain protocols that had to be done during those shows or prior to those shows. So a lot of the times, you get there and someone couldn't make it because they were ill. So it was a little bit of a challenge. Things have smoothed out a little bit since then. But you show up to the show that night and your opponent might be sick, and then they throw in a fill-in. So you do all this homework on your opponent, and there you go. He's not there, and now you have to figure out something else.
Yeah. Especially, please keep your eye on Coda Jacobs, because he likes to cheat. He likes to cheat. And I have him on Michael's Corner not too long ago. Actually, I had him on last year or a couple years back. So,
Okay.
Well,
see, now I knew him before he was Coda Jacobs. He used to come and watch me at the Black Horse here in Winona. And he was a nice guy back then, and then all of a sudden he got into the wrestling business, and for some reason is into politics and has become one of the biggest a-holes out there.
Yeah, and what a thing or two I like about Coda Jacobs is, you know what? He's actually a good freaking heel. I mean, he's a pretty good, can I say, worker? He's a good worker, good in the ring, but like you said, his attitude sucks.
That's to say the least. I like working with him because him and I have a good chemistry. Good, heel face always makes for a good story. And then him also, he went to college here in Winona, and I've known him probably for 10 years now. So it makes for a fun time to work against him, but it also gives us a great storyline as well. Come the beginning of the year, I'm gonna try to get him back for another one-on-one match because as you saw the last one, it didn't come out in my favor. But not only did it not come out in my favor, it was just a cheap win on his part with a low blow. So this year, I'm gonna keep my eye on him and hopefully get him where he can't escape from me.
Yeah, and I hope that RCCW will start doing live streams,
Sure.
so then that way I can watch the show. Like in case, like if some wrestling fans can't make it out there, they could do some kind of a live stream, so then that way people can watch the show. Then you will definitely hear it from me because technology these days is getting much better. It's getting better every year.
That's right. I mean, look at us. We're communicating.
Hopefully in 2023, RCCW will start doing that, for the fans,
Yeah, and I know because some people are a long ways away and they can't make it all the way down to La Crosse, Wisconsin, or even to Winona when we're in Winona. So I understand that too.
Yeah. I'll send them a little, message on social media and whatnot. So
yeah, they probably love the fans for sure.
Yeah, they gotta listen to the fans now. So yeah, the pandemic pretty much canceled everything and whatnot. It's like when all the wrestling shows got stopped, got canceled and whatnot. I started to losing subscribers on YouTube, and I have to think of myself, how can I get back at this,
Yep.
So I decided one day back in May, was pretty much around Memorial Day, I decided, you know what, that's it. I'm going to create an Instagram account, and I'm going to just start posting old photos of, old photos of myself at wrestling shows that I've taken with the wrestlers and whatnot. I just like, you know what the hell? I'm just going to do that. And pretty much beginning around the summertime of 2020, that's when I started to doing these live streams and doing these interviews,
Well, that's good.
And
You busy.
yeah, and ever since then, Chris, I enjoyed it, I enjoyed doing these live streams on Instagram more than on Facebook Live because then Instagram makes it more easier because I can invite up to 4 people onto my live stream. I don't know if you saw that one of my recent episodes where I invite all 4 people. So be able to do that, that's great. Hopefully I'll get a chance to invite more people along the way.
Well, and the good thing for you, it not only keeps you busy, but it also keeps the wrestling fans engaged with things that are going on from a long distance away. And especially 2 years ago, when you couldn't do a interview with someone one-on-one or one-on-two, however it is, now you are able to do this from the comfort of your home while still keeping people engaged with the wrestling community because it is indie wrestling that we are part of. So we're not out on the main stage of the big world news networks and stuff like that. So you're keeping this going as well, which is fantastic for wrestlers, myself, and also for you as well as doing something that you love to do.
Exactly. And many fans don't know this, and I want to touch base on this one. Fans gotta understand, independent pro wrestling, where a wrestler has their own contract, and they can wrestle whatever they want to, as opposed to being under contract and whatnot, because you gotta follow certain rules and stipulations on that contract and whatnot. If you breach the contract, then you have to settle it in court and whatnot. But independent wrestling, a wrestler has their own contract. They can do whatever they want to do. And I just want to point that out because some fans may be a little confused about,
Sure.
what goes on, So me being able to explain this,
So yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, you're kind of considered what's called an independent contractor, and we can basically just go wherever we would like, at least at this level. Now, I don't know what WWE is like, but I've only heard that when you're like that at WWE, you kind of have to be stuck with them, even though you are technically an independent contractor, because I think that's what the contract says. So the goofy thing with that comes is that they are stuck there. They can't go out and make extra money, but they should be able to. Now, I know that there's other people that are out there. I think, like, I want to say AEW, you can see some of those guys at different promotions while you can still see them on TV on whatever nights they are on. I believe it's Wednesdays, but it seems like they got a whole bunch of different nights now going on. You have the YouTube Dark matches or the AEW Dark matches. So I think they let those guys and girls go out and do the actual independent contracting, going out and making extra money on the side. Because the thing is, when you have a name, you can not only just make from whatever you are if you're on WWE or AEW money-wise, but then you can go out on different days that you have off days if you'd like, and you can go out and make more money as well. I mean, when you think about it, when it comes to wrestling, it's already hard on the body enough. It's like an NFL football player. Your window of opportunity is only so big because you are taking a beating. So you got to try to make the most of it as fast as you can, I would say. Now, obviously, you get guys like, Ric Flair. They're still making money off of wrestling, and good for them, but not everyone's like that. Sometimes your contract or your career is cut short, too.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, when and I recently touched base on this on previous episodes on here, stating that if you want to get into the business, there's a lot of sacrifices that come into play,
Sure.
because once you hit that mat, or the canvas, it's hard as hell.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, right now, Mike, I'm looking at my live stream, and we got one guy that I used to wrestle against, and he is a referee in WWE right now, and I can see that he just joined in. He used to go by the Fireman, which he was in Atlanta, Georgia with me. A fun guy to work with. Another great heel, kind of like Coda, but totally different. But you got him joined in right now. I can see that. He
Oh
goes by
my
Gal.
God. Really? I just now seeing that. Oh my
I'll have to
goodness.
send you a photo.
I'm glad he's able to join because you know it's like I'm just putting content out there and I want to put this out here because everything's starting to open back up, but still I want to be able to do this so then I can really sit down with you for like a good hour and talk about wrestling and talk about other things too, because then I'm giving the fans, not just only the fans, but my YouTube audience what they want. And what they want out from me is to post more content.
Absolutely.
So I'm listening. Really important to listen to your audience and your fans because
You never know who's
like one of the fans, one of my the fans and my YouTube audience suggested that instead of holding your phone all the time, why don't you go and buy yourself a stand?
Sure.
And I did just that. And because I listened to my fans, I listened to my audience,
Yeah.
And ever since then, everybody likes it, pretty much likes it.
Yeah, the more professional you can make it look, the better it will be for yourself, for sure. So now, question for you, Michael. What's your favorite part about interviewing independent wrestlers?
Yes.
So what's your favorite part about it?
My favorite part about interviewing independent wrestlers is I want them to be themselves,
Sure.
Be themselves, you don't have to always be in character 24/7. What I like about interviewing independent wrestlers is I just really like to communicate with the wrestlers, telling them how they got their start in wrestling, and depending on the person, I'm interacting with them, and I like how we, if we go on a touchy subject and whatnot, they are pretty much open-minded and kind and whatnot. And also too, sometimes too, I can ask a wrestler to interrupt my interview, and because I want to see things go down, because I'm doing this because I want people to watch even more.
Yeah.
So
right.
I did that over the years, and finally it worked.
Yeah. Hey, Fire.
That's
Come on, bud. I see it. I see. I got a comment to steal on it. I don't know if you can see my side of things, but
yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see him post Steel.
Yeah, that's the Fireman back when he was an independent wrestler. So, yeah, it's really cool. I talk to him every so often. If I send him a message or something or tag him in something, he will say something back, comment, or respond. So that's good always to see some old guys, because that's from 10 years ago now for me, for the most part. I 2012, and we're in 2022 going in 2023. So that's a decade now that you still keep in contact with a lot of these guys, which is fantastic. And it's really fun too to see where their careers are taking them as well. Because I'll see him on SmackDown out there reffing, and it's really cool to see. Because I remember just chatting with him in the back room and stuff like that. And I do not always hat on, even though they destroyed the Vikings a few weeks ago.
Yeah. He's like, you need a Cowboys hat on, Steve. Oh my God.
Hey, no. That win yesterday was fantastic. I was so pumped for it.
Mm-hmm. Always been a pleasure with you, bro. That's what he said.
Him and I had a feud down in it was called Royston, Georgia. It was a trio match, like best out of three, basically what it turned into be. And he did a concerto on me, and he remembers that. We got yelled at by the promoter pretty well on that one, but it really made him into a pretty big heel there, to the point where he had some messages on his car and people were screaming at him. And it was a really fun trio match because everyone kind of stepped up to the next notch, and he knocked me out with a concerto shot. Not the most pleasurable thing to take, a little scary, but he was very, very safe with it. Let's just say that. So that was that was fun.
Mm-hmm. So Chris, I gotta ask you this important question, and I want you to I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about today's independent pro wrestling compared to what it's like back then? Well, I'm talking about maybe 10 or 12 years ago. What do you think of today's independent pro wrestling?
Well, to be honest with you, I think not much has really changed in it. I mean, there's only so many ways you can, do it. But the one thing that is really nice is you can go to different independent wrestling shows and you can see when there's some production value or some thought behind everything. So, you can go to a bar and you just walk out of a back room and then that's your whole thing. But then all of a sudden you go to another place like RCCW, or even the place that I was just talking about a minute ago. We had a ramp, you had an entrance, you had music, you have TVs up, and it makes it really feel like big time, even though you're on the small time. And the fun thing for the fans is that they get to experience it very, very close. And now, if you go to a big show, WWE, AEW, you're going to pay a lot to be there to see that front row action. Whereas this is more affordable. I guess maybe the one thing that has changed a little bit is obviously going to be ticket prices, but that's just the way things go with inflation and stuff like that. But it's still, if you want to take a family out, it's affordable, fun, and you're going to get like 2 or 3 hours worth of action, which is also fun as well, while also being able to be somewhat close to your hometown. So like, the biggest shows that come from Minnesota, those are going to be up in Minneapolis, which is, for me, 2 hours away one way. And then going up there, that's, you gotta go up, gotta come back or stay overnight, and just costs a little bit extra money for some of those people who may not be privileged enough to do that. What you can do is come to a local show like in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and you're going to get some fantastic action. You're also going to see some people, which this is the fun part, you'll see some people that have just started out, and then all of a sudden maybe they make it. There's a lot of guys from WWA 4 down in Atlanta where I was that I knew personally, such as the guy that is listening to us right now. He goes by Dallas Irvine. But then also Apollo Crews was there. And then also Moose. He was a good friend of mine when I was down there, and that he's on Impact. So then you get to see some of these guys develop. And I know there's a lot of those guys that are up in Minneapolis right now. They wrestle at, First Avenue, I believe. And there's a lot of those guys that will probably eventually make it. And then you get to see them from the ground level, which is fun. Can you imagine if you had seen at the ground level John Cena wrestling in the independents back in the late 90s or early 2000s? How neat would that have been? So you get to see some of these groundbreaking people come up, and sometimes you can even tell who's got a shot at making it and who really doesn't, but it's fun entertainment. Anybody that I've ever said, hey, come to a show just one time and see what it's about, because a lot of people that I know aren't big into wrestling, and I get that. But if you come one time, they're always like, oh, that was so much fun, I'm coming back again. And usually they will. And then there's some people that become regulars. But as far as what's changed, I think in the indie wrestling, I don't think it's much, except for I would say probably a little bit more athleticism. And that's not me. I'm not a aerobics type person. I can't do gymnastic type things. I will just play to my strengths, which is one of the key things that people, when they get into indie wrestling or independent wrestling or professional wrestling in general, they need to know, what is my strength? How can I make the most of that? See, I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and do a flip. It's not going to look right, first of all, coming from me. And I don't want to injure anyone either. But it's just not what I can do. So I have to make use of what I can do and my strengths as well. And then hopefully someday maybe someone picks you up or something like that to the big leagues.
Yeah. And you know what? Can I say this too, Chris, that you are that athletic guy, you know? You are that athletic person. I've seen it. I've seen you wrestle in person. You are one athletic person, you know?
Yeah. And you know, the one thing I would love to do, and I know it goes so outside the norms of wrestling, is getting out of wrestling boots somehow. Now, I like the look of the wrestling, the professional wrestling, but the boots just don't make me feel athletic anymore. And I would like to wear basketball shoes, but then again, who am I going to be? Who are people going to say I am? They're going to say, oh, look, and there's another John Cena out there. So I'm trying to figure out how I can wrestle in something that's more comfortable, footwear wise, while still keeping that professional look. So I would feel a little bit more athletic, because I do play a lot of sports throughout the year. I play competitive basketball right now, volleyball as well, a lot of slow pitch softball in the summers, and a lot of golf. So I do stay active in all those types of things. But when I'm in boots and wrestling boots, I feel so unathletic.
Mhm. I hear you. And speaking of wrestling boots and wrestling gear, let's talk about your gear. Man, I mean, first off, who makes your gear? Who makes your gear?
Oh, man, who was it? It was I think I got that made about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. I had to look through my emails, but he did a fantastic job. I just kind of gave him an idea, and I got to go back and search through my emails who made it, but it was really nicely done, and it held up well throughout the year, because, you put on the knee covers and you think that they would rip and, tear and something like that, but I have yet to have that happen to me, which is fantastic. But I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. There's a place called, I think, like Champ Pro or something like that, but I don't believe that's who it was. I'd have to look back at my emails. But whoever, that was really done well, and I do want to get some more gear made, because I do have just the one. And then the tearaway pants, the tearaway pants and the shiny vest that I have, those were found on eBay. So.
Mhm. I gotta tell you one thing. You, you know who makes wrestling gear is Craven Knight. Craven Knight makes good wrestling gear. He's retired pro wrestler now, and he's starting to make wrestling gear full time.
Sure.
And oh my God, you should reach out to him like on social media and see if he can make you some gear, because Craven Knight does great work. From
Sure.
my experience and whatnot, he does great jobs.
Yeah, well, that's probably someone, because you never know what you're going to get with someone. One time I ordered boots, and I'm not going to say who it was through, but it was like white. It looked like white pleather stuck on a piece of wood, and it was really bad. I never wore them. I still got them sitting around. So, you never know. Sometimes it could be a crapshoot on what you get, but, as far as what I've had for gear so far, it's been done really well.
Yeah, and I'm seeing in the comments that Dallas Irvine he says that most guys wear those and cover them up with kick
Yep.
pads.
Yep. That's another
Yep.
doing it. That'd be like Daniel Bryan and like Kofi Kingston. I always notice that Kofi Kingston has a pair of Nikes on. It seems like some basketball shoes underneath, which you never notice when he's wearing the kick pads on, unless you see the bottom of his heels. But yeah, see, I always like
Yeah.
to look like The Rock. I thought The Rock always had a great look. Obviously, Stone Cold kind of was really generic, I guess, but it worked out for his gimmick. But I always thought The Rock had really nice looking gear as well.
Yeah. And if and like I said, if you can find like shoes, shoes that feel comfortable on your feet, you can cover those up with kickbacks. And
Yeah.
that, that will look, you want to change things about yourself in the wrestling business, You want to change things about yourself because you recently turned into
Yep.
face, right? Yep. You want to change things about yourself,
Yeah.
Because if you go with the same old thing over and over again, it could get kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll get kind of tainted.
Yeah, it could get a little boring, a little blah, but then obviously when you change from heel to face, you obviously would like to do something slightly different. Otherwise, they're still going. Some could still consider you a heel because you haven't changed anything. So yeah, I know what you're saying about that.
And also, one of my friends, Jaron from Indie Talk, just commented on he said check out at La Lucha Ladies
Yep.
too. She does great work.
Okay. Well, I'll check those people out then for sure because I do need a new look now that I fired my manager and hit him with the chair shot and did all that. So.
It's and he's just mentioned La Lucha Ladies.
Yep, I see that right there. Perfect. So I can check that out as well. That'd be great. So you remember like it was about 8 years ago when Batista came back and then he was wearing those really high Jordans with like the zips on the side. They look like boots, but they weren't boots.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember those were kind of unique coming out, but I don't think I'd ever do that just because obviously someone's already kind of done that before. But that would be a good idea if they look like boots at the same time.
Yeah. Yep, and there's a lot of you gotta find what fits you,
That's right.
and take it from there. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So,
I do. I find the right people that make the right gear. And I still have some other ones that I had made from the same person. They did a good job. It was almost looked like a badass Billy Gunn type gear. Really kind of, it was fun looking. It was for the sex appeal gimmick.
hmm Now, I'm not saying change your trunks or anything.
Sure.
That's fine.
Yep.
That's fine. We're just talking about now that you're a face, you gotta change. Change your look just a little bit.
The whole time I was a heel, I didn't really feel like I was a heel the whole time. I almost felt like it was Jay Edwards that was the heel, and I just happened to be there because he was the one in the way where I was still trying to play it safe at the same time. And then once I fired him, the crowd went nuts that night. And after, especially when I hit him with the chair shot and his briefcase, the crowd really loved it that night. And then ever since then, it's been a way better reaction, like kind of night and day. I feel like people didn't really know what to think of me at the time. And then not not to talk up about myself, but a lot of promoters always said this, and it's not just here in the Midwest. They said you got too pretty of a face to be a heel. And I go, I guess, I don't know. But I had that down in Georgia. I said, let me try to be a heel. And they go, it's just not going to work. You have too much of they call it, I think, like a white meat baby face. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's okay too. You can still be a heel and still be a heel, but you know what? Let's just see how you do as a babyface. Maybe you'll get a lot of fans coming to you, and like I said, you gotta do what works for you.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, if you if you're able to feel it, and you'll say to yourself, oh, maybe being a face is pretty good. I'm gonna work with this. Then you'll know what I
That's
mean.
always what I've been most comfortable with has been a face for sure because I've been it for so long. And I wanted to try to step outside of my comfort zone and just try something different, which sometimes is hard because, so this is funny. 2 years ago, it was during the pandemic. It was like that November area, I want to say. And it was a show here in Winona at the Black Horse. And some of my students came. And as some of you know, I'm a teacher as well. So some of my students came to the show and they were just cheering me. They loved it. And I took their sign and even ripped it up, and they still cheered. And the next day at school, they go, "Why?" Or 2 days later at school, they go, "Why'd you tear up our sign?" I go, "Well, I'm a bad guy." And they go, "Well, we're there to cheer for you, though." So they didn't understand. They didn't understand what was going on, really, but it was hilarious because even some of the people in the crowd were like, "Why'd you tear up their sign?" Because they don't. Here in Winona, we have a very casual, I would say, casual wrestling fan. So they're not going to know a lot about the indie stuff or how the psychology works. They just know good guy, bad guy. You're the hometown guy. You should be the good guy,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So it was an interesting thing because I still have that sign up in my classroom. I pinned it up and I had to tape it back together because I ripped it up in the ring.
And you know something? I would love to go back down there into Winona because I haven't been down there in like
Yeah.
years.
Well, yeah.
So,
Have you been down since the time that you came to that one at the athletic club with me?
um, um, I haven't been to one since then.
Okay, so it has been a while then.
It's been a while, so I just need to. My biggest, usually I don't say this on here, but me interviewing you and we're good friends and whatnot, I feel confident. So I'm gonna say this: as I would just love to go down there, only if I have like transportation
Sure,
to and from.
sure. Yep.
Because I would love to go down there to see these shows again, maybe film them and post them on my YouTube channel. And because now that everything is pretty much settled down,
Hmm.
everything's going, everything's opening back up. I That will be my first goal in 2023 is to go to a wrestling show in Winona, so I can get to see guys like you wrestling and whatnot. And so that'll be one of my first goals and whatnot. And like you said, like you was got done talking, I actually saw that video of you turning on your manager, and my first reaction was, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Yes, he finally did it." And it's
Well,
like,
I think
"Oh my God, Chris Steele's turning face. What we're gonna do? What we're gonna do?" And and whatnot. So
well, that was it was such a fun night too because I kind of had some freedom to do what I wanted to do and how I wanted to how I wanted to handle that, and that was a little bit of my idea as doing all that were how I wanted to fire him and such. And he was also, he was moving out of town as well, so it was going to end either way, no matter what. So we thought we'd get a good reaction, which is always what you would like, is to get the fans invested, and then they were, and sure, because it was a long time coming. It kept getting in my way, as I was saying earlier in this interview, and then eventually it just happened where if I remember right, I was going for a number one contendership for the championship, and then I got screwed out of it by accident. So I don't know if it was an accident on his part.
yeah, yeah. And also too, I hate to be a little touchy on this. We re- we recently Damon Knight. No, I don't know if you've heard of him or whatnot, but Damon Knight recently passed away unexpectedly and whatnot, and it's hitting on it's hitting people a lot harder, you know,
Sure.
especially me because Damon Knight was one of those wrestlers who I go to if somebody did me wrong in the biz,
Hmm.
That's the guy who I go to. And he was also there for me when after my mother had passed in 2018.
Okay.
So he gave me a genuine hug, and he told me flat out, if you ever need to vent, come to me. And that's what I did.
Well, that's a really nice guy that you had a good connection there. I didn't know him that well. I not even sure that I had met him, but I saw the photos that you had with him. He looked familiar. I think he wrestled back when RCCW was a little bit newer, so that I wasn't there yet at that time. I think I came in 2017 Labor Day, I believe it was. So I think I'm not. I may have seen him or cross paths with him, but I never had a match or anything like that. But sounds like a nice guy. If he told you to come vent to him, if anything you needed anything. So I mean, but see, that's a lot of us guys. We play. You play the big tough guy, the mean guy, the a-hole, whatever you want to say. But, when it all comes down to it, we're still a big family at the end of the day, where we take care of each other. If someone, needs something or some help, we are all usually there for each other as far as I know. I've never, ever had a locker room issue with anyone. I mean, obviously it comes down to who you are as an individual. If you're going to be, a jerk, you're not going to get much respect. So you still have to be that kind of respectful guy towards people, because obviously you want that respect in general, and you're obviously respectful, Michael. So I'm sure that you guys had a fantastic relationship from what you knew.
Yeah, I have a fantastic relationship with wrestling promotions in the wrestling community in Minnesota, and as well as Wisconsin too. I haven't been to Rice Lake in many years, and I haven't been to Winona in many years. So I would love to go back to Wisconsin.
Sure.
In 2023 and whatnot. And I was just about to say, this is like my life lesson to you and everybody else. Men, don't be afraid to show emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't be afraid to show emotion, because if you know me, Chris, I'm an emotional person. I'm an emotional guy, and when my friend Kurt Allerholt, who he was a good friend of mine. He was doing shows at the time when he was passing away and whatnot, and on his deathbed, I just broke down. I broke down in tears for about 5 to 7 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my God. Everybody was there. It's like, gosh, I never seen Michael this emotional. Yep, that's what, because Kurt Alterholt was like a second father to me. He took care of me in the biz. He makes sure that nothing bad has happened to me, and he just wanna protect me.
Sure.
And I thank him for that, because it doesn't matter how busy he was, Chris. He was always there for me. He always made time for me, and he was the one that got me into the biz. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be doing this right now. Hell, I wouldn't even be doing Michael's Corner right now.
Sure.
If it wasn't for him.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah. So it could be touching, but I just want to sit down and talk about it and how I got into the biz and whatnot. But you don't have to be a wrestler to get into the biz. You could do other stuff like interviews or promos, which I'm working on.
Yeah.
I can do this, I can do that. There's other ways I can get involved in indie pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But although let's go back in May of 2013. I was at a wrestling show along with my late friend Kurt. During intermission, and I told a story about this last week, but I'm gonna say it again. During intermission, the kids had the opportunity to get to wrestle with the Angry Dragon for about $5.
Sure.
$5, get in the ring with the Angry Dragon. When I seen those kids beat up the poor Angry Dragon, I was like, oh, hell yeah. And I saw those two little girls. They was doing like almost twin magic. Oh my God. They were beating the shit out of him. Excuse my French. But then they asked me to get in the ring. So I gave them my $5. I got in the ring against with the Angry Dragon. There was this one independent pro wrestler by the name of Jason V. He was kind of coaching me to do, wrestle against the Angry Dragon. So what I did was I put the Angry Dragon we was wrestling, I put him in the lockup, and then I shoved him into the corner, I was listening to the referees say, get him back in the corner, chop him. I gave him a huge chop. Then I was wrestling as Mizark Henry. I picked him up and I gave him the world's strongest slam, and I got the 1, 2, 3, and that was over. I don't know if YouTube deleted that video, but once I find that video, I'll be sure to share it with everyone.
Is that your only match that you had?
No.
You had.
That's not the only match I had.
Okay.
Back in 2015 or 20, I want to say 2017. I think it was 2017. I was at a wrestling show, and I got a chance to wrestle with Ace Spade.
Okay.
Now, he's a retired wrestler, and I wanted to call him out. I called him out for it, and he's like, Mike, I'm retired. I'm a retired wrestler. He ain't got no shoes on. He wasn't prepared for this. And I told him, get your butt in the ring. I'm challenging you. So what I did at that point is he told me to slap him. So I slapped him hard. He's like, oh my God, you slapped me. I said, well, you told me to do it. So I beat him with the test of strength.
Okay. So you got another one.
Oh, and I won that match.
Okay, so you're 100%.
So I'm 2-0.
100%.
Since then, Chris, nobody has challenged me. No one has challenged me because they know what I'm about to do.
That's right. Well, who would? You're 100%. You have a 100% win.
Mm-hmm. But I decided after that, I said, maybe this is not for me. I'm better off just doing interviews and promos.
Yeah.
Because unless if a wrestler wants to call me out again, then what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to get gear made. And I'm going to get gear made. I was like, I'm just going to hang it. I'm going to put it away somewhere. And any wrestler calls me out, I'm going to get that gear. I'm going to put it, but it's going to be maybe like a singlet, maybe along with some pants, because I'm 38. I don't want to show skin. I don't want to, nope, I'm not sure, nope, not this model.
All right.
We all covered up. And, yep. And I'm just going to get my gear, and I'm going to say, I probably will tease everyone. And if a wrestler was really bad-mouthing me, I'll just go up to the, if I got permission, I was like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to tease it. I said, you keep running your mouth, I can go from interviewer to a wrestler, and then somebody's like, keep talking, and that's where I'm gonna make that tease. I'm gonna tease everyone.
Well, Michael, I'm glad that you and me are on good terms with each other, so we don't have to wrestle, because it sounds like you'd be 3-0 according to your records. So I'm glad you and me are on good terms.
Oh, you know what? If that were to come to fruition, I'll have you in my corner, coaching me, because we're on good terms, I don't get to see you wrestle in person every day, but I do see like video clips and photos of you wrestling. But that's gonna change come 2023, because I want to see you wrestle in person more. And yeah, we always been on good terms, because I haven't seen you wrestle that often, so Yep. But if you came down to Minnesota more often, and you was wrestling against one of my favorites, then then
so who are your
you never know.
Who are your favorites?
You never know. I might cheer you one day, and I might boo you the next day.
Who are your favorites in Minnesota right now?
Right now, my favorites in Minnesota right now are P.D. Brown.
Okay, I've wrestled him. Yep.
Yeah. The Revolutionary Bill Williams.
Wrestled him. Yep, he's a good guy too.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen that. Mm-hmm.
Were you there at that one?
Yes, I was there that one time when they had when you guys had that battle royal, I believe.
Yeah, that was at the Winona Park Rec. Yep.
Yep, I was there. Kyle Pro is one of them.
Okay.
All right, that's my favorite. Right now I gotta put Niles Punkhead. He's my favorite.
Okay.
He's a good wrestler. He always has his robe and his wine. He's the current Steel Domain Wrestling champion, heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, another question for you, Michael. Who is the biggest person that you've interviewed so far? Who do you think it is so far?
Molly Holly.
Molly Holly? Okay. When was that? How long ago?
That was last month.
Last month.
That was back on November 5th at the because MAW, Midwest All Star Wrestling, had Grand Slam 4 show.
Okay.
No, 4. No, 5. No, 4 show.
Okay.
Grand Slam 4 show. And I had the opportunity to interview Molly Holly for a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's nice.
And that is up on YouTube, and since then I've been getting a lot of reviews off of that on YouTube.
Good.
Yeah. Also, the biggest wrestler that I interviewed was the Honky Tonk Man.
Okay.
So those were I got to interview, I don't know if you heard of him, but Jimmy Jacobs.
I feel like I've heard of the name, but I don't know him personally.
Okay. Well, Jimmy Jacobs used to wrestle for he used to work in Impact Wrestling as an Asian, and I forgot what else he did. I'm trying to think what else he did. He'll come back to me. Okay. But he also did something else too. So those were probably the biggest wrestlers that I interviewed.
Yeah, you're gonna meet a lot of people.
And you never know, because in January, towards the end of January, MAW in Steel Domain is going to have that super show.
Okay.
Featuring Mick Foley and Billy Gunn.
Oh, wow. Hopefully we can get in with them.
Yeah. Can you imagine if I get an interview with those guys?
I'll make your page blow up for sure.
That will blow up my page for sure, because Billy Gunn, he works for AEW.
Yep.
And he was a former WWE superstar. And he used to be in TNA. And Mick Foley is a former WWE superstar and a Hall of Famer. And he's my page will blow up. My YouTube channel will blow up.
Yeah, you would definitely have a lot of people checking in on that.
Yeah, yes, yeah, I know. So, okay, so what does Chris Steele likes to do on his free time?
Well, free time for me is going to the gym 6 days a week. I enjoy going there. I might not enjoy it at the time, but when I'm done with my workout, I feel fantastic. Playing basketball competitively, volleyball competitively. I coach basketball for the school that I work at. I'm also a teacher, a real estate agent as well. I also own some property. I do a lot of things outside of just the wrestling, so I'm quite busy all the time. But some of the things that I enjoy doing, especially in the summer, is going on the river on the boat. I love doing that, or going on motorcycle rides, or going to car shows. Pretty much anything with a motor in it, I love going and being around. So those are things that I do on the outside of wrestling when you don't see me out in the squared circle, as they call it.
Yeah, and do you have any animals at home?
I have a dog. His name is Jake. He's an English Mastiff. If you ever look on my page, you'll most likely see me with him. He's about 3.5, going on 4 years old now, but he's a big boy. He's about 125 pounds.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, and how's your girlfriend doing?
She's doing
I see.
Yeah, she's staying busy too. She works for Fairview Hospital, and she's keeping busy as well, doing things outside. You know, she supports me in all this that I do for wrestling. If I remember right, I think she's only missed maybe 2 or 3 shows since her and I have been together, which has been 8 years now. So she hasn't missed hardly any shows. I can only think of maybe 2. So that's she always is pretty supportive. And then she always tries to get her friends to come along as well, which is always fun. They were at the last show. Her friends brought them to watch it.
And does she knows that we're doing this interview? Because, you know.
Oh, yeah, she knows.
I like for her to watch this after I get it up. You know what I do, Chris, after I get done doing my live streams, is what I do is I will copy this. I'll copy the link of the interview, and then I go onto this one website to kind of, and I forgot what it is. I can't pronounce it, but I go to this one website where I can just paste the link, and then, download the interview, download the live stream from there and whatnot. And that's when I do my editing, I got the one website, I can't remember it because it's in my phone. So, on my bookmarks. So I just go to this one website where I just download the live stream, and then, that's where I do my editing, put my Michael's Corner logo. And then I put, info of where can fans follow me.
Yep.
So everybody can know, because I'm a video content creator.
Yep.
So I I learned how to do this myself. You know, I I taught myself how to do it, and once I taught myself how to do it, the rest is history.
That's good. You can learn so much nowadays. You go on YouTube, watch a video on how to edit stuff and how to make content, and you can just go and do it yourself. It's so great what the internet has these days for us out there to utilize for help on anything that you need. If you want to learn how to play an instrument, you can do that. If you want to learn how to edit videos, you can do that. So many awesome things out there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what's so great about YouTube is you can watch YouTube videos of this and that,
Yeah.
or you can do. There's so much you can do. I don't want to waste any more of your time because you got things going on. You're such a busy person, and I just want to thank you for doing this with me, taking the time to do this with me. You know,
Well, I appreciate you having me on because
it's been
too many years.
I'm sorry, it's been 5 years since I last interviewed you, so I just want to make this a good hour-long interview because being able to catch up.
Yeah.
And
now, was I your first interview, or was I one of your first ones back in 2017?
Back in 2017, I did my interview with you the first time. So
yeah,
and now we're doing it the second time.
You had to be just starting out at that point, right?
I actually started out. I started interviewing wrestlers May of 2013.
Okay. So you've been doing it for a long time then, almost a decade.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Well,
that's good.
Almost a decade. I've been going to independent pro wrestling shows for almost 12 years. For 12 years. And I've been in the wrestling business for about 9.
Okay.
You're not. Well, 9 years.
I'd love for you to come back down to Winona sometime because if you do, then we get a face-to-face interview. I mean, this is fantastic, but being with you live and in person is always the way I prefer things. But, I mean, next time you come down, we'll do another interview, even if it's 5 minutes long or an hour long. Maybe we can do something else when we can see each other live in person.
Yeah.
Because coming to the live in person is a lot more fun than just interviewing over the phone.
Yeah. And remember the last time, back in 2017 that I first interviewed you? I asked you to do that pose.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I still got the interview and whatnot. But this is good, because actually I get to sit down, do an hour-long interview with you so we can catch up. And yes, when I do go back to wrestling shows in Winona, we gotta do this again in person.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna make this. We're gonna make this the best interview. We're gonna get people watching and whatnot. So to end this interview, I always ask these wrestlers the question: where can they follow you on social media?
On Instagram here, as you can see, I am at The Deal, Chris Steele. That's a good one for me. I do probably most of my stuff here on Instagram and then also on Facebook, which you can look up at Chris Steele. I think it's at The Real Deal, Chris Steele for that one. I don't do much on Twitter. If you look me up on YouTube, you will see me at Chris Jacobson 18. So that's where you can see some of my matches. I am a little bit far behind on posting some of the matches, but you can also go on the River City Championship Wrestling page and see some of our stuff as well, where I am part of. But then I also try to upload my own videos of myself wrestling as well, just if promoters need to see something and stuff like that to see how I work if I'm going to get hired from them as well. But I would say Instagram and Facebook are where you're going to see the most content from me. So if you're on here, it's at The Deal, Chris Steele. And if you are on Facebook, it's at The Real Deal, Chris Steele.
Okay. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to do this with me.
You're welcome.
and We'll talk again soon, okay?
Sounds
It
good,
won't.
Mike.
It's not gonna. We're not gonna wait 5 years to do no interview. Come on now.
Yeah, no, we
Come
will not do that again.
on now. Don't do that
No,
again.
no.
So,
Thank you so
uh,
much, Michael. It was great to see you again.
yeah, it's great seeing you
All
too.
right. Have a good weekend.
Yep, you too now.
Bye.
Yep. So that was a great interview, you guys. Chris Steele, one of the nicest guys I know. So, and you'll see me doing interviews like that, you know, on here and whatnot. And that's what I like about interviewing these independent pro wrestlers is I, I will allow them to be themselves and they we could talk about anything and whatnot. Um so well you guys, I'm about to get going and whatnot. Um, you guys take care now, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Michael's Corner. Okay.